Hi there, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Same Ship, Different Day. Obviously, live stream Q&A yet again. We are marking day 125 here on board the Coral Princess. It's been quite a long slog, as I'm sure you can imagine, but I'm looking forward to seeing what questions you've got for me in the chat. This is 4 weeks now into the live streams. This is number 3, so it's been going fantastic so far, and I've had some excellent feedback both on the live streams and on all my videos. So welcome to all of you who are in the chat. Let's take a quick look. Deborah, I saw you were in there nice and early. Thanks for coming along so early and being ready. Mr. Wigan Dave, hello to you. Mig is in there. Glenn's asking, how do I also get 125 days on board? Yes, well, you're welcome to come and relieve me and take my place if you like to, Glenn. I wouldn't mind at all. Nigel's in there and Matt Baker. Matt, great to see you. Wiki wah. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to my live stream. Matt is actually the cruise director that was on the Coral. He is home now. He was one of the lucky ones that got to go over on the Sky Princess. So like I was saying, 125 days on board. 90 of those now have been since we last touched land, since we were in Stanley. And we were able to go ashore. I luckily did get off then, but it's also 90 days, so 3 months since then, and 125 days, so over 4 months since then. Oh, super chat, straight in there. Jeff, thank you very much. Amazing, thank you. Any question there? Jeff, I can start off with you. Just enjoyed the videos. Well, thank you very much, Jeff, I appreciate that. If you do have a question for me, put it in the chat and I'll come back to you with an answer. Okay, so let's go with the first question that I've got from other videos that I've accumulated since the last chat. I wanted to start with this one. It's not particularly relevant to my work, but it's quite an interesting one. It's from Linda Porter, and she was asking, with your girlfriend being a professional dancer, how are your dance moves and what's your favorite type of music to listen to or dance to? Excellent question, Linda. I'm sure people are very keen to see me dance, but I'm not going to be giving that to you today, I'm afraid. Maybe I'll save it for another one. Give me some feedback if you want to see my dance moves. But I do dance a bit. I've done the Dancing with the Stripes. I don't know if anyone's ever done that on board as a guest, but I quite enjoyed doing that. And music to listen to, I'm a big fan of Tenacious D. I like to throw it back, especially their first album from 2001. Not really a dancey one, but you can move to anything, can't you? Also, thank you for saying professional dancer. My girlfriend will be watching, and that's important. You'll be amazed how many people ask her and ask the whole cast what their actual job is on board as their primary job. So it certainly means something to recognise their hard work. Right, let's have a look in the chat then. Is anyone asking any questions? Nigel from Swindon. Welcome, Nigel. Thanks for staying up so late. Please be sure to bring some questions in. Which university did you go to? I can see there. So that is from Sam Murphy. So Sam, I went to Fleetwood Nautical College. It's not officially university. I did touch on this in the last stream as well. So you apply to a company and they sponsor you and they allocate you a college. Fortunately for me, if you want to say fortunately, I lived far enough away from all the colleges that I was able to choose which one I wanted to go to. And I chose Fleetwood. They've just invested a lot of money there and it has some excellent results. Or new subscriber there popping up, George Whittle. Thanks for the subscription, George. I don't know if you're here in the chat, but please do pop up if you are. Let me see if I can get my chat to load up. It's being a little bit behind. David Kalbacher, I can see we had 60 days stores and boards. How often do you have to resupply? So David, that's a good question. That actually leads on to my next question from one of the other videos. So I'll go into that. Question number 2, which is from Jean-Francois. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is a bit of a guess for me. So it says, do cruise ships ever plug in for power at port, or they always run on generator while in dry dock? So we do plug in for power. Various ports around the world where it's a regulation that you have to do so, such as Vancouver, San Francisco, I believe, also Los Angeles. We go on shore power most of the time there as well. So it does happen. Obviously, it's at the discretion of the captain in the end, because if it's not safe to do so, if it's a day where we might have bad weather or expecting bad storms to come in, we might not want to be connected to a shore power line, obviously, so we can get out if necessary. So yeah, good question though. Thank you for that. And the second question, which refers back to the other one, currently in standing down setting. so our pause operation at the moment. He's asking basically if there's a comfort zone. So if there's a certain amount of stores and fuel and water we need on board at all times in order to ensure that we can leave at any point. It's a good question. With regards to stores, I don't have the minimum. I'm not sure what the hotel inventory manager goes with on that, but I can tell you that we haven't taken any stores since the 29th of April, which was Fort Lauderdale, and we still have 300 tons on board, and we're consuming about 900 kilos a day, so just under a ton. And when we have passengers on board, we're consuming about 14 tons a day, which is 13 tons of food and 1 ton of hotel provisions. So you can see there's a huge consumption rate there. And we don't really have a minimum that I'm aware of that we need to have on board. But I've never really seen it go down below maybe 100, 150 tons, depending on what the food is that we have on board. Obviously, perishables need to be used up and restocked more often. Good question, though. Thank you for that, guys. Let's see what else we've got going in the chat. I'm just going to refresh my page down here. Doesn't seem to want to work for me. From the Midlands in the UK, hello. East Midlands myself. What are you most looking forward to doing when you get back home? Well, obviously, like I already mentioned, my girlfriend, I can't wait to see her. Luckily, I'm going to be exempt from this 14-day quarantine as a seafarer, so that's excellent news. I won't have to do that. When I do get home, though, I'll hopefully get to see my friends and family at a social distance and just enjoy sleeping, to be honest. I'm quite tired now. I've been watchkeeping for 4 months. With just that break when I did my quarantine period, until it's starting to stack up on me, as I'm sure you can imagine. So hopefully I'll be heading home soon. It is at the moment not looking particularly to be in the immediate future. We're probably talking at least another month on board. So I'm sure I'll be coming back to you with more live streams from on the ship, and those days are going to start to stack up quite quickly. Thanks for that question. Danny Black. Hi, Danny. Good to see you. If you haven't checked out Danny's channel, do. I'm going to keep insisting on it. You better go see it. What's on your shelf in the background? So we've got a couple of things behind me. I think you can see the ship, let's say just there. Yep. Coral Princess. It's a mini model. So what I do is on every ship that I go on, or since I've been third officer and above, I've collected ship models, and I've had the captain and staff captain on that ship sign the model, so I can throw back and remember who was on that ship for that contract. For this one, I've actually written on the bottom of it COVID-19, and I'll write the dates when I join and when I leave the ship as well. My staff captain just signed off, so he's already signed it, which is why it's up there, and I got the captain to sign it as well. Thanks for that question. Also, you can see, not quite on the shelf, but I've got a new addition to the cabin, which is a little monkey that Rio, my cabin steward, shout out to Rio, made for me, which is excellent. Charlotte Smith, not home for my birthday. That's my sister. Sorry, Lottie. I'm afraid I won't be making it back for that one, but I'm sure you'll have a great time in quarantine without me. Oh, John Kelly, good question. When's the last time you had a beer? I think over a week ago. I answered one of the questions on the chat was about the alcohol consumption on board and the rules for us. Essentially, there's a level you need to be at when you take watch on the bridge, which is basically zero. It's nothing. At all times when on board, you have to be below the basically drink drive limit back home. And for me, I'm not allowed to consume any alcohol within 4 hours of taking a watch, which means it's basically you don't really tend to do it. Occasionally, you might have a beer or a small glass of wine with dinner, and that's about it. But yeah, I'll be looking forward to having a pint when the pubs are open back home. Thanks for that question. That's a good question there from Jerry Holly. Greetings from Western KY. Sorry if I don't know where that is. Never been on a cruise. How long does it take you to get back to being used on dry land, and when you get back home? So yeah, it's a good question. I remember Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky. Yeah. So back on dry land, for me, I tend to adapt quite quickly nowadays. I remember when I first went on a cruise, I was only 16 years old, and I only was on one cruise for a week in the Mediterranean, so the weather wasn't even that bad at all. But when I got back, I was working and I could feel myself swaying slightly, and I do see that occasionally, especially with some seafarers. but for me, I tend to just get straight back into it. The best thing though is the sleep, 100%. I don't set an alarm, and that's the best feeling in the world. So for my future rotations, I'm seeing a question about January 2021 from Jack Bear there. I don't know which ship I'll be on at that point. I don't know if I'll even be on board or if I'll be at home. Honestly, at the moment, I don't even know when this rotation is ending, so let alone when future rotations might come in. But thank you for that. So Rosie, thanks for that question. When do you think cruising will be happening again? What differences will be in place? So Rosie, we don't have any information regarding the new procedures on board at the moment. Obviously, social distancing is likely to be a factor. Obviously, lots of hand washing as always, and hand sanitizing. Another subscriber there, thanks to him. So it's unknown really, and when will cruises get back to normal? Again, unknown. I am hearing rumors about AIDA starting up quite soon. That's a German cruise company operating out of Germany, of course. I think mainly they'll be doing domestic cruises as the easiest way to do it, but they're looking to start, I believe, maybe by the end of August, which will be very promising if that works out. I know some river cruises have already begun as well, so that's good news, and hopefully everything's moving in the right direction now to make that happen. Thanks for that question. Yeah. So let me go back to one of the questions here. It was a great question we had. It's question number 3 from Paul Hutchinson. He asked it on the bottom of the last stream. And he asked, who is in charge of the ship once the pilot is on board, the captain or the pilot? And can the captain override a pilot's command? If so, have you ever witnessed this? Great question, Paul. So essentially, in all areas of the world, the captain will still remain with the charge of the vessel, even when a pilot's on board. The only place where that isn't true is Panama. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but that's my understanding. The only place in the world is that the pilot will take the charge of the vessel, because there's so much going on in Panama. You actually have 3 pilots join at once, and you have 1 forward and 1 aft commanding between the mules as well. There's so much going on that it's basically out of the captain's control. We are made fast to these mules. It's 8 of them, 4 forward and 4 aft when we go through the locks. So there's nothing the captain can really do about that, which means he kind of has to hand it over to the pilot at that stage. For the rest of it, what happens is the pilot will come on board, they'll familiarize themselves with the vessel, and they'll take the con. Now, if you have the con, again, this can still be taken back off of you by the officer with the charge on the bridge, even if that's an officer in as low a position as myself, as the officer of the watch. But most of the time, we don't have the issue. I've never had to take a con off a pilot. We just advise with gentle suggestions, and we comment essentially on what's going on in order to provide them with the support that they need to carry out the operation that's going on at that time. Obviously, pilotage comes in lots of different forms, so lots of different kind of navigational restrictions, whether it's a long river passage in a tight channel or just maneuvering the ship alongside in port. Excellent question, though. Thank you, Paul. Guys, if I am missing any of your questions as they come through, do be sure to put them in the chat. Again, you can ask more than once, and hopefully I'll get to see it. What have we had just here then? Lots of hellos from everyone. Welcome. Thank you for just coming to the chat. So we've got one there from Edward Cleveland. The 3 or 4 of you on both Princess and RCL have been interesting. We've got a Regal the week before and everything went okay. How many crew are left on the Coral now? So Edward, we've just about 171 on board right now, but that is including 12 relievers that are currently undergoing their 14-day quarantine before they take over. So obviously 12 more will be leaving when that process is over. In addition to that, we also have quite a few crew members leaving that are not part of the minimal non-operational manning. And they'll be going within the next week or 2 as well, and they'll be heading home for repatriation. Good question. Thanks for that, Edward. Mr. Wigan Dave, apart from other Princess ships, is there any other cruise ships you'd like to work on? Good question. Thank you for that. And the answer is yes, I think so. I was looking into going maybe over to Seabourn at one stage. The smaller ships are quite attractive. P&O Australia as well, obviously Princess owned them. So we go back and forth, and I enjoy working for that cruise company as well. There's lots of opportunities out there. You don't tend to hear too much about, let's say, privileges and how the operation tends to work. It seems to be quite sort of secretive between the cruise lines, if you like. So I wouldn't know exactly what position I'll be going into if I went across to a different company. And with the privileges being pretty good here at Princess, I don't think I'll be looking to move to another cruise company at any point. Also, some companies have agreements. For example, Carnival UK, I couldn't leave a Princess ship and go over to a Carnival UK ship. That's to stop each other stealing officers from each other. So there has to be at least a period of 12 months of me being at home before I can take a job with Carnival UK, for example. So docking in New Zealand, I see a question there. Jim, is it? I have docked a few times in New Zealand. We were in, well, I've done all the New Zealand ports really, only though on P&O Australia ships personally. I do know the Golden was out of Wellington for a while there. I think she was the biggest ship to go in when she first went there. So there are a few Princess ships that do go there as well. And I've been to Auckland, yes, I have. And also we did the fjords and places like that down south. Really stunning place. I loved it there. I actually took 3 weeks local leave when I got off the ship and delayed my flights home so I could stay and explore the North and South Islands. Okay, so let's go on to another question that I got in one of the videos. This one's from Daniel Gear. So Daniel is looking to become a cadet. He's looking possibly to apply for Princess Cruises. He put this question in, and I wanted to make sure I got it into the live stream today. Saying how much he's enjoying the videos. Thanks for that, Daniel. So looking to apply for a cadetship in the future in about a year's time, but need some help. That's what I'm here for. So, Princess, where do I need to look to apply for their cadetship? So as I was saying, we do go to these colleges, and even though you apply to the companies, the best thing to do is go to the open days of the colleges, because that's where all the representatives of the companies go. So if you go on the college's website, if you look for nautical colleges in the UK, you've got Fleetwood, Warsash, which is now part of Southampton Solent, South Tyneside, Glasgow. So if you look at all of these colleges, they'll have open days twice a year for the January and September intakes. And if you go to those open days, that's the best place to meet the companies and speak to them. I met James Halley, who is the Princess representative, and he's excellent. I met lots of cruise companies when I was just 16, and then stayed in touch with them for 2 years until I started the cadetship. So that is definitely the place to go to meet the cruise companies. So take a look for that. And for Princess, if you're successful to achieve your COC, you more or less are guaranteed a job. I don't think I know anybody that didn't get a job after getting their COC, and they all became third mates with the company. It's basically a guarantee, but obviously you have to meet all the requirements of the company. And apart from that, you asked at the bottom, you're saying about what officers are allowed to do in their spare time. I mentioned that briefly in the last live stream, and I think I might come to you with another video on that. If you do have any more questions, Daniel, I replied to your comment with my email address previously. So drop me an email and I will endeavor to answer all the questions you have. Danny Black, putting in a super chat. Thank you very much. $5.99, very generous. Thank you, Danny. For those of you, I've had a few people asking me about this super chat. Basically what it is there's a small icon at the bottom of your chat in gray that looks like a $sign. And if you go on that, you have the choice to make a small donation to the channel to help out. And that way your question pops up in that color block like that. So if that's what you're looking to try to achieve, that's the way to do it. Obviously, I'm still going to endeavor to answer all of your questions in the chat, whether or not it's a super chat or not. But thanks for that, Danny. I do appreciate your support there. So let's have a look. Paul Hutchinson, he's looking at pros and cons between working on a passenger ship versus a merchant ship. Is there a difference in pay, length of contract, or benefits? Paul, obviously, I don't have all the figures for pay and benefits either, but I have a general consensus. Obviously, I was working closely with my friends in college who are on cargo vessels as well as cruise ships. So I think the biggest benefit for passenger vessels would be sort of the lifestyle you have outside of the working day. On a cargo ship, you're very constrained. You're only usually on board with maybe a maximum of 20 other crew members, all of whom are working long days, and so therefore don't have that extra bit of social life that you might get on a cruise ship. I think that's a massive benefit. On top of that, in terms of pay, usually you'd probably find that the cargo ship life pays better, but you may be doing a longer contract. And also, what you have to take into account is that the promotion is faster there. So your promotion, if you're promoted faster, obviously you're going to end up getting paid more. So it could be an option to go cargo first, and I did consider it, and then move across to the cruise industry. But you then be stepping into the cruise industry probably at a lower level to what you would have had, and you'll be taking a massive pay cut. I've got a few friends that I know who were planning to do that, and they just can't face the pay cut that they're going to have to accept if they want to move into the cruise line industry. So that's something you have to consider when you start out, really. I'm happy with the decision I made. I've traveled the world, seen lots of places, met lots and lots of amazing people. So I really can't complain about the career that I've had so far. Thanks for that question there. Justin Lee, I see a question there about what happens when there's a really bad storm. Do captains typically sail through it to stay on schedule or avoid it and risk delaying things? Justin Lee, it really does depend on the storm itself. Obviously, we're never going to put the safety of the crew or the ship at risk. So I wouldn't expect anyone to go into a storm that I don't think the ship could handle. We've aborted Cape Horn many times because of the conditions down there, and unfortunately that's just the way it's going to be. If you're on a cargo ship, you probably have a little bit more pressure from the company, because obviously, especially if you have perishable goods or something on there. Sam Murphy, thank you for that donation. I've just seen it pop up there, £1.50. Thank you very much. Every donation is appreciated. Sam, please do ask a question in the chat and I'll try to get back to you. So you will see ships going to storms. Sometimes storms aren't forecasted particularly accurately, and so you may have a storm being worse than initially anticipated, and that is just an unfortunate position and how a lot of accidents unfortunately happen. Thanks for that question there. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Who are you employed by? John Kelly. Yeah, I am employed by Princess. However, obviously on this chat, it's all my own opinions. It's all my own feedback. So I'm not representing my employer in this way. I'm just here to talk to you and answer your questions, really. The views and opinions are all my own. So let's go back then to one of the on the videos. We just answered Daniel. So the next one is from Never Stop Cruising, whoever you may be. I agree. Please don't stop cruising. Might be out of a job. Question number 5. I wonder in the next video if you could tell us a bit more about the crew changes. Had noticed your third officer saying been on board only 4 months, but was due to head home in a couple of weeks. I thought the contracts were 6 to 10 months. If the ship's at minimum levels, then why be going home after only 4 months on board? So essentially, most of our contracts, depending on your rank and your job, will vary. So mine is supposed to be more or less 3 months on, 3 months off. I'm already at 4 months and I'll be heading for 5 shortly. My third officers, they're usually 4 months on, 2 months off. That's just their contract. And I did the same when I was third officer. The longest contract I think I did was 4.5 months. So I'm soon going to be overtaking that one. And some people on board will do between 6 and even up to as long as 10-month contracts. Obviously, in a certain circumstance, it's very different because we can't get home, mainly because relievers are struggling to get out to us, or because of restrictions in international flights or local regulations. It is proving very difficult to get people home and get people relieved on board as well. Something we have to be somewhat understanding to. So we don't really know how long these contracts are going to go on for in this scenario, but yeah, usually contract lengths vary and then vacation lengths vary as well. And if you are only hired for that stint that you're on board, such as the third officers that do 4 months and then supposed to do 2 months at home, if they wanted to take a longer vacation, then they have that option. I know I took that opportunity a few times because of travel plans that I had, that I would take a longer than 2 month vacation. And because you're not actually under contract at that point, you are able to do that, which is excellent. Now that I'm on a salary, 3 on, 3 off, obviously I have less freedom in choosing those dates. So there's definitely pros and cons to both. Thank you for that question. Hi Matt, thanks for that. I saw that comment there. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I'll make sure I say hello to Matthias for you. Maybe he's watching. Matthias, comment if you want. Oh, Sam, here you go. This is a question. What would you say the companies would be looking for on your CV, such as extra courses? Okay, Sam. So obviously you have the bare minimum that you require by STCW. So make sure you have all of those: your basic firefighting, advanced firefighting. Additional good one to have is Fast Rescue Craft FRC, which the company will put you on if you don't have. But if you already have it, obviously that's appealing. Make sure you have a valid medical, of course. You need that to join the ship. Basically, you need to make sure you have all your basic courses if you can. And that's going to make you much more appealing, because it means a company can send you to the ship almost immediately without having to put any financial effort in, or any administrative effort either. So that would be a great way to do it. And if you're looking to go on to maybe yachts or something, then they tend to look for different courses, such as PADI or PADI teaching courses, scuba diving, yachting, anything like that. It tends to be what they actually look for in addition to your standard STCW courses. Thanks for that question, Sam. Okay, yeah, hi Justin. So for that assignments and how that works, so essentially you are put into rotation. They try to make rotations up to 2 years in advance. Obviously that's not happening at the moment. You can have some effect on it. I am, for example, linked with my girlfriend, so hopefully that has an effect to try and bring us together on the same ship. We were luckily together here. Unfortunately, she had to go home. But in the future, we'll be looking to do that again. And I can request to the office, I can ask for that. But again, because of my contract now being salaried and 3 months on, 3 months off, then I really should be having to accept whatever contract I'm essentially given. But I try to look ahead and plan well for that if I can. Thanks for that question, Justin. Max Whelan. Max, is that Princess buys first or business class plane tickets for the officers? I wish, Max. So if you're an executive officer on board, which there aren't many, then you'll get your business class flights. Otherwise, we're all back in economy, unfortunately, but understandably. That would be a very, very expensive one. Radical, yes, this is live. Hello there. Thanks for popping in. So Irish say there, asking about the transatlantic cruises. What's better with whether and seas going towards Mediterranean or returning to US? Want to book for either fall or spring? Good question. I've never done a transatlantic personally. You'd have to look at your trade winds. That's what I'd look. So take a look year round. I imagine the current obviously flows up that east coast and over towards the UK and the Med. So you might get there a little bit faster if you go that way. I would imagine following seas as well, but honestly, I'm not sure. It will depend on this time of year and your sort of prevailing winds. So if you want to take out a routing chart for the month you're looking to book, have a look on that, and it might give you more of an inclination. You'd probably prefer to have a following wind, because that would make the relative wind speed on deck less, so you could go out and enjoy a little bit more. However, you may then have following seas, which may cause more of a roll. So there's lots to take into consideration. Preferably, you want to be going bow into the waves if you can. Shiloh Rose, welcome back, and thank you so much for that super chat. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Do you have a question for me? No question this time, but great to see you again, Charlotte. Thanks for keeping me in the loop. You're very welcome. Thanks for checking in with me. So we're looking at sail to LA. I think you put about the crew members there, Jose. So I can't tell you exactly when the crew are going to join. It will depend again on what's happening with the company. At the moment, we don't have any rotation, obviously, to bring extra crew members back. We're still trying to repatriate the extra ones we have on board at the moment and around the world, as you probably saw in the last video I uploaded. So I'm not going to be able to guarantee when the crew can come back, unfortunately, but I expect around a week to 2 weeks before the ship sails, with passengers, of course. So we can move the ship from here anywhere in the world. We still have the full bridge team, the full, more or less the full technical department. So that's not an issue for us. Thank you for that question. Cam, about the bridge tour, I'm going to maybe try to do this in a different way. I'm not allowed to video on the bridge, so I won't be able to do that. But what I can do is maybe get some shots of the equipment, and I can run through the equipment with you from my cabin and tell you what it is and show you the views and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like a virtual bridge tour, if you like. And also that way I can break it down so it's not too long of a video. If I was to give you a full tour, I'd probably be talking for over an hour. So this way I might be able to break it down a little bit more by equipment. If you think that's a good idea, let me know. Put it in the comments in the chat, and I will endeavor to get that to you at some stage. Thanks for that question. Yeah, let's go back to the video comments. Number 6 from William Miller. You mentioned that you occasionally go on cruises between contracts. Do you go on Princess or Carnival Corporation ships, or do you check out the competition? Good question, William. So far, I've been doing Princess ships. It's just the way it's worked out. Usually I know people on board, which also helps with organizing everything. So that's sort of the way I've gone so far. And also I am fortunate enough to get some employee benefits when booking cruises through them. However, I am looking forward to checking out competition. I would like to try Royal Caribbean, to be honest, seeing what they have available. Obviously, they've got quite a lot of facilities on board. So that'll be interesting to see and how that's all managed. If Royal want to sponsor me and send me on a cruise because I'm making this video, then you're more than welcome to do so. Please get in touch. But at the moment, I don't think I'll be booking any cruises in the near future, but let's see. If I do, I'll certainly look to branch out. I almost did a Royal Caribbean one last year. Unfortunately, that didn't happen in the end. But yeah, let's see. I'm open to going and trying other cruise lines, that's for sure. Thanks for that, William. I hope you're watching this. So anything else in the chat? New ships, Irish and USA. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of questions about the new ships. Unfortunately, I don't have any really factual information for you. As I said in the last video, Italy is opening up, which means the yards will be opening up, obviously under restrictions. You expect delays, both due to workforce and obviously financial delays. At the moment, the company are concentrating, I believe, on sorting out the ships that they have, as well as working on those ships for the future. Hopefully the delays won't be catastrophic if they are present. Well, at this stage, it's probably too early to know. You'll be amazed what can happen quickly when necessary. So I'm not going to tell you that it's been delayed, but I'm not also going to tell you that it's on time. So I just don't know at this stage, I'm afraid. But thanks for that question. Royal Princess Matthew Glow is in Manila. They're there with the rest of the ships. If you want to watch the update that I just put out a few days ago, check that out, and it goes through all the ships in the fleet and lets you know what they're doing, where they are, and why. Thanks for that. Carol, have you tried Blue Curaçao? I guess that's Curacao, maybe. Unfortunately, we're not getting any supplies yet. So I would guess I'm not going to be trying that until we get some new supplies on board, if they decide to bring that on. But if I do try it, I'll let you know how it is. Maybe I can get some in the airport on the way home. Yeah, so Ryan, I see a question there about working on the Dawn Princess before you went to P&O, and if you've done many dry docks. Good question, Ryan. I did say before I was on the Dawn Princess when it was Dawn Princess, and then I was on it for its maiden voyage as Pacific Explorer. I do work between those two companies, as both are owned by Princess Cruises. Excellent ship, so I would definitely recommend going on that and booking one for the future. Regards to dry dock, I've not actually been involved, which is quite surprising considering how long my career has been with the company so far. I've actually somehow managed to miss every dry dock. I've been scheduled to go on them before, and then the dry docks have been cancelled for various reasons. So far out of luck for that. But I would be interested to try it out at some stage. It's supposed to be quite an interesting experience, and you'll learn a lot from it. So I'm looking forward to doing my first one. Thanks for that question. Last question then from the videos, again from Jean-Francois. I think I'm testing myself on this. Perhaps sensitive, would it be interesting to hear differences cruise point of view between cruise lines? So again, as I said about one's booking, thinking of working conditions, safety rules, operating procedures. As I said, I don't have access to their specific operating procedures or privileges or safety conditions, but I imagine it's pretty standard across the board. Obviously, we have lots of regulations in SOLAS, and that comes across then in COSWAP, the Code of Safe Working Practices for Merchant Seamen. And so therefore, all of these are sort of a base level of standard that you need to have across the industry and across the merchant navy. With that in mind, obviously companies do implement different procedures themselves, depending on what they have on board and guests and that kind of thing. So I couldn't really comment on that. I hear that on More Caribbean, it's a tough work. I hear that the delegation of jobs and tasks, you tend to have more and work longer days. So that's all really I've heard from that part of the industry. I'm happy with Princess at the moment, so I can't really comment too much on that. But thank you for that question, Jean-Francois. That's a good question, and that's that from the videos. So let's see what we've got going on in the chat. Okay, Dave, I see that about cruising around the Americas. Yeah, I've been all over the world, essentially. So favorite place, I do enjoy going around the Med. I've only really done that once working, but that would be nice to go back there, obviously closer to home. Adriatic Sea, so Croatia. You can pop into Venice from there as well, which is nice, and down to Cyprus. Some excellent cruising down there. Also, I did Samoa. We did 10 days alongside in Samoa on the Pacific Jewel a few years back. It was something to do with the Kiwi government organising an event over there. And so they basically had the ship as a floating hotel, much like it is now. And we were alongside Samoa, and that was an incredible place and somewhere you don't often go to on a flight, because especially going from the UK, you'd have to fly all the way down to Sydney first and then get another long flight from Sydney out to Samoa. So it doesn't tend to happen for the Brits anyway, but certainly a place I enjoy going to. Thanks for that question. Justin, I see your question about can officers and captains bring their kids on cruises? Yes, you can. Family are allowed to come on board, which is excellent. And a lot of captains and senior management do choose to take that option, especially as they have larger staterooms, larger cabins where they can, which is more of an apartment. So it's easier to have the kids on board. Thanks for that question. Callum, that's a good question about Cunard. I don't know why, but Cunard doesn't particularly appeal to me. I think it's the segmentation of what I've heard about it anyway, of different classes of travelers and passengers. I'm not sure how true that is nowadays. But for me, Cunard is kind of going quickly across the Atlantic Ocean is not what cruising is about for me, really. But good question. I did consider working for them when I was applying for Carnival UK, and I'm sure it's a very good company to work for. But in terms of booking a cruise, I probably wouldn't be booking one to go. I'm happy just to take a 7-hour flight across to New York. But good question. Thank you. Okay, what's your favorite ship from Matthew Glow? So my favorite ship, I'd say probably going back to Pacific Explorer. Love that ship. Great team on there, and really enjoyed it. Next question. We're thinking of going to Aruba and Curacao. Have you ever been there? I'm in Curacao right now, Axel. Right now, I'm here. It's beautiful. Well, today actually was a bit cloudy, but not too bad. Come over. What else we got? Must you have a C1 Master's license to sail as Chief Officer of Princess Cruises, Captain Neil? I don't have a Class 1 Master's myself, but I could get up to First Officer even with my Chief Mate's license. And then if you want to get Chief Officer, if you consider that to be Staff Captain, then yes, you'd want to have a Master's license in order to get promoted to that level. Thank you for that question, Neil. Okay. Jay, when we start cruising again, will you host a dinner with Alfie for your Same Ship Different Day subs? Maybe, Jay. You'll have to let me know if you're coming. Maybe I'll get them to put on a special event in one of the theatres and I can be there for your question and answers and do it that way. That would be quite good. Resume cruising in August. I doubt it. But let's see. Some cruises may, but probably not Princess Cruises. So position me. Dreamliner, if you're new to the channel, so I'm senior second officer. I have 2.5 stripes, and that's what they are related to. Second officer being 2 stripes, and the senior being the centre half bar there. So I'm the only one of my rank on board. Thanks for that question. Alan, about this profession being one that I can retire from, I'd say it could be a lifetime career. I'm not sure if it's going to be the one for me. Obviously, you have to work your way all the way up to captain by that point, unless you retire at 40 for some reason. But I don't know. For me, I don't think it's going to be the career I retire from. I think there's more for me out there, outside of one company and one career. But for now, I'm quite happy. So I'll keep going for now, and you can follow me. Time flies, doesn't it? We're getting to almost half an hour already, so I'm going to start wrapping it up. Let's go through a couple more questions. Why is there so much competition with applying to cruise companies? Again, from Sam. Thanks, Sam, for that question. Competition, I think, because it's a nice life, like I said, social life on board is excellent. If you're looking in terms of nautical for my side, for deck, then I certainly do find that attractive. And that's why cadets are looking to come into cruise companies rather than cargo companies. Thanks for that question, Sam. Do you think it would be difficult to get crew to come back to sail after all of this? Nancy Ross. I don't think so. I think most of them haven't had terrible experiences and still enjoy the job that they do. A lot of people are looking to get back already, and hopefully that will be the way that it goes. We will see, though. Obviously, that's part that's going to come next once all of this repatriation process is over. Hopefully, they can find someone out to come relieve me. But like I said, part of the contract is that they have to take it. One subscription there from Christopher Malanka. Thank you for subscribing, Christopher. If you're watching, this is going to be a short live stream today, just 30 minutes. So that's it for today. 45. I'm totally out of stream there. It's 45 minutes already. It's 6:30, isn't it? So thank you for watching. Thank you for all your fantastic questions. If you do have questions or there's some questions that I didn't answer, please do put it in the comments below. Give this a like and share it with your friends. Maybe they'll be interested to hear what's going on. Thanks a lot, and take care, and I'll see you on the next one.